Speaking of the NFL, Super Bowl champion and NCAA record holder for most receiving yards by a tight end, and we shouldn't forget, aspiring BYU Sports Nation co-host, Dennis Pitta joins us on the Deseret First Credit Union hotline. Dennis, welcome back, man.
Hey, thanks, guys.
So we had something come up yesterday in a conversation with John Beck, his mullet picture, and he was giving us trash about, man, why do you guys keep putting that out there? There has to be a better picture of me. And then we said, well, we have Dennis Pitta on tomorrow, and your picture with Max Hall, Austin Collie, and yourself as the Three Stooges got brought up.
Which we just tweeted.
Good, thanks.
Which photo is worse, the John Beck mullet or your Three Stooges pic?
You know, normally I jump at the chance to make fun of John, but I'm going to be honest. Our Three Stooges pick was pretty bad, and I'm certainly embarrassed by it. You know, we were all young, and we really have Austin Collie to blame. He roped me and Max into that, and you know, it was. You know, I'm still living the consequences of that decision today.
Okay, so if it's a round robin and there's three pictures in there, and Brian Keel and David Nixon's picture posing, you know, on the ground looking up at the camera in the indoor practice facility.
Yeah, I've seen that one. That one's pretty bad. But you know, I really hate the Three Stooges picture. It's a bad one, and it's one that Utah fans seem to get a hold of every year. So.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though. I going back to John Beck's picture. I actually saw that mullet in person, and I did not hate it on John.
Okay.
So, you know, I'm actually a fan of that style in him. His normal hairstyle isn't very good, so he actually went out of the box there. And, you know, with the mullet, I enjoyed it.
Dennis Pitta with us on BYU Sports Nation, a proponent of John Beck's mullet. Who knew? Our Twitter question today, Dennis, is which bowl game would you rather see BYU play in? Las Vegas or Hawaii this year?
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough call. I played in the Vegas Bowl 3 straight years. That's the only bowl I've ever been to, and I loved it. You know, there's something about being in Vegas for that week, and I guess the glitz and the glamour of Vegas. But we had a blast there every year, and it seemed like we always had good matchups. You know, I think my last year we played Oregon State, who was a top 15 program at the time, and so they were all really good games. I mean, but you know, when you talk about Hawaii, that's a tough one to beat. You know, I'm speaking strictly location at this point.
Yeah, what matters more, location or opponent, Dennis?
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, ultimately it goes to the matchup. I mean, you want the best matchup possible. I don't know, you know, what teams are kind of slotted into, you know, the Vegas Bowl or the Hawaii Bowl. So I think at the end of the day, as great as Hawaii is, you know, Vegas is a good spot too. So it's really about the matchup.
In 2008, when Rob Gronkowski played for Arizona against BYU in the Las Vegas Bowl, do you think you had more catches and yards than him, or did he have more catches and yards than you in that game?
You know, that's a good question. I was injured in that game. I was coming off of an MCL injury, and so I don't think that my stats were maybe as good as they should have been. But I'm going to say I outcatched Rob.
Here they are. Dennis Pitta, 5 catches for 58. Rob Gronkowski, 4 catches for 27. Dennis Pitta,
greater than Rob Gronkowski.
Yep.
I mean, the stats don't lie. You know?
Even with the sprained MCL.
You know, I don't even remember him in that game, to be honest. I mean, that's, you know, kind of a bad thing to say. But
yeah, he wasn't a big deal at the time.
No, he wasn't. But even the following year, he was hurt that whole year. So, I mean, who knew of Rob Gronkowski before he, you know, ended up with Tom Brady?
Talking with Super Bowl champion Dennis Pitta, former BYU tight end great on BYU Sports Nation. When I watched Tanner Mangum play, the first time I saw his high school film, I think I might have said it to Jerem. I think you were in the room with me, Jerem, and I said, he reminds me of Max Hall in just his sheer playmaking ability. Like, he just finds a way to make throws, and he's got a good arm. Do you see any Max Hall in Tanner Mangum?
Yeah, I definitely do. I mean, I think one of Max's strengths was certainly his ability to move around the pocket and make, you know, pretty much every throw from the pocket. And Tanner certainly has those abilities as well. And so, you know, and Tanner can get out and move a little bit, and Max always thought he could. And so, you know, we always joked with Max. He thought he could, you know, he thought he could really run. But Yeah, I mean, I think they're real similar players, and I'm excited about Tanner and his future, and I think he has certainly a promising one ahead of him.
Dennis, now we sit here, and Taysom Hill could potentially return to BYU next year, and you'd figure it out with Tanner Mangum. And I've been looking at the top 8 teams in college football, and 5 of them have or will have started a backup at some point this year. So backup quarterbacks, you got to have them. Do you want Taysom Hill to return for BYU? What's your opinion on that situation?
Yeah, that's a tough situation. I mean, I have thought a little bit about it, and obviously you want what's best for Taysom, and if that means coming back to BYU, if that's something he wants to do, then great. If he wants to go somewhere else and be the guy, then that's great too. But I think if he did come back, I think it would be a difficult situation to just give him a starting nod, because I think you would stunt the development of Tanner a little bit. And I think, obviously the future of this BYU football program for the next 3 years is going to be with Tanner Mangum. And so for Taysom to come back and throw him into the starting lineup would I think, be a little bit detrimental to the development of Tanner. But at the same time, I think there's room for both of them on the field. I think Taysom's such a dynamic athlete that, you can find creative ways to use him. I think you look back at some of those teams like Florida when they had, what was his name? Chris Leak and Tebow. Tebow wasn't an every down quarterback, but he came in specialty packages and did some things for him that really helped him. I think Taysom can be, similar in that role, but I think he's also has value as potentially a slot receiver or out of the backfield and doing a variety of things. And so I think from that perspective, that's, from a fan perspective, I guess, that's what I'd like to see the most. Just, Tanner be the guy and continue to grow and develop at that position, because that's really the future. But, allow Taysom to get in there and create mismatches and make it hard on defenses.
Dennis Pitta joining us on BYU Sports Nation. For the first time ever, at least that I can remember, BYU football runs a reverse to a tight end who then throws a touchdown pass to a wide receiver in their senior day game against Fresno State. Remington Peck. Dennis, are you at least a little bit jealous that you never got an opportunity to throw the ball, especially in the red zone?
Yeah, I'm deeply offended by it. And, I was an all-state stake flag football quarterback.
Yeah.
And to never get a chance to throw a ball like that in a real game, I mean, it hurts. And to see Remington come in and do it, I was certainly jealous. But, to be honest, it was a great throw. I didn't get to watch the Fresno State game, but I went back and, I heard about that play and went back and watched it. And, on the run with gloves on, making a throw like that in the corner of the end zone, I mean, it wasn't wide open. He had to make a good throw, and he did. It was pretty cool to see, actually.
Let's talk about you for a second here. What went into your decision to sit this year out?
Well, there was a variety of factors. Obviously, I had to decide, whether I wanted to play football or whether I wanted to focus on, co-hosting the show with Spencer.
Get out of here, man.
And so,
you didn't say that at your press
real
conference.
Factor that went into the decision. And at the end of the day, I realized, my future's in that studio.
Why didn't you say that at your press conference? That would be awesome if you had said that. You're like, well, BYU Sports Nation is a big part of my life. And Jeremstead Wade.
Yeah, I didn't say that for a good reason. But, no, it was a really tough decision. And at the end of the day, it wasn't my decision alone, but it was a collective decision, not only between myself, but my family, and as well as the doctors and the organization. The doctors felt like it was just too risky to be on the field at this time, even though, I felt good practicing and didn't have any, real major issues with it. They thought it was too risky. And so with that information and kind of some soul searching of my own, we decided to shut it down for the year, and we'll reassess it, when the year's over. So, we'll see. I don't really know what my future holds, whether it's playing football or sitting next to Spencer, but we'll see.
Dennis, if you decide that football is no longer, whenever that is, we will consider you as a potential co-host for this show.
Come party with us.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
I mean, if John Beck can get his own segment on the show, I mean, I guess you guys are just taking anybody these days. Do you guys still do the Fast Friday with Keel?
That was during the summer. Yeah.
Okay, so that's done. Fortunately, that's over.
I love it so much. Just firing bullets off left and right. I do want to ask this as a follow-up. How does your hip and the ligaments and the body feel in that area?
It feels pretty good, and like I said, I practiced for 3 weeks, which was allowed under the rules, and it was really a time for me to test it and see how it felt and get a little bit more information for myself and the doctors in the decision that we had to make. And it felt good. I felt like I was running and able to, cut and do all the things that I wanted to do and used to be able to do. But at the end of the day, there was just, too much risk of getting on the field right now. And so we wanted to give it more time and see how it responded. But, overall I feel good. I don't think I'll have any trouble being out in the field house beating German basketball anymore.
Oh, I remember. Circa summer 09. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember the beating part, but I remember playing.
That's all I remember was the beating part.
I do remember calling a foul on you as I went to the lane and you argued with me about whether that was a foul or not. I do remember that.
I'm sorry. That's probably before I knew you very well.
Here I am, 5 inches shorter and maybe I don't know how many pounds light. Anyways, no, we had a fun time. If you're ever in town, let's get you in here and let's make you a regular here, man.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And if we're ever in Baltimore,
but not too regular, you know what I'm saying?
Jeremy and I want tickets to a Ravens game if we're ever in Baltimore.
Come on out. I'll get you guys. I can't get you front row seats, but I'll get you somewhere in the lower bowl.
Okay. Okay.
I'll take it.
Jerem's got the John Gruden look of determination on his face right now.
That's awesome, man.
Dennis, great to have you, man.
All right, guys. Thanks. It was fun.
All right. I'll talk to you again soon.